Did you know that 600,000 people in the United States and 200,000 people in Canada die each year from cancer? That's almost 900,000 people who died from cancer in these two countries alone. Cancer is the second leading cause of death worldwide. No. One factor that determines whether or not you're going to get cancer is your daily diet. For many years, smoking was the major cause of cancer. However, today, because so many people have quit smoking, obesity has replaced smoking as the #1 reason people get cancer. Today, I'm going to talk about some facts about cancer and certain foods that cause it and foods that fight cancer. You'll also learn why cancer is not a genetic disease. I want to start by saying that cancer is not a disease of genes. It's a metabolic disease. Cancer starts because there's been some type of damage to the energy currency or battery within the cell, called the mitochondria. The mitochondria is what gives your body the energy to do anything, just like your car needs gas. Cancer starts when you have a change or damage to this energy factory. In addition, cancer starts when there is an accumulation of damaged mitochondria within the cell. It doesn't start with a bad gene. So even though we inherit our mitochondria from our parents, it's not our genes that are bad. It's the function of the mitochondria that becomes impaired or dysfunctional. This dysfunction can happen to any person at any time. When this happens, we get cancer. There are 3 things that cancer cells do that normal cells don't do. Normal cells have a limited life. They grow, then they stop. Cancer cells keep growing and dividing. Normal cells stay in one area. Cancer cells can invade other tissues. In normal cells, if they're damaged, they commit suicide. Cancer cells don't commit suicide. They keep surviving. So this means that cancer cells are independent of normal cell function. Now I'm going to explain where cancer starts. It starts with a broken metabolism and not with a bad gene. This makes cancer a mitochondrial metabolic disease. Cancer initiates with a broken metabolism and not with unfavorable or bad genes. Cancer starts when the energy factor or mitochondria within the cell gets damaged and loses its ability to generate energy for the cell. Normally, when we eat food, it gets turned into ATP, which is the energy currency of the cell. Cancer cells lose their ability to generate ATP, and they become dysfunctional. Then, they begin to live off the fuel of the normal cells. This means that the cancer cells become dependent on taking nutrients and fuel from healthy, normal cells. Now, that's a very simplified way of explaining it, but that's the basic idea. So what are the 2 main things that fuels cancer cells' proliferation? The 2 main fuels are sugar and amino acids, specifically the amino acid glutamine. Sugar and glutamine are the 2 most common fuels that all cancers use to survive. Let me say it again. All cancers use sugar and glutamine to survive. So this is why if you have cancer, you need to cut down on both sugar and glutamine. Cancer cells are dependent on consuming these 2 energy sources. If you restrict these 2 fuels, you starve the cancer cells and you help to put them to death. Foods that are high in glutamine are foods that are high in protein. In order to build muscle, you must consume amino acids, which come from protein. But if you have cancer, you cannot eat high-protein foods because cancer cells live off amino acids. So what do? Well, the solution is to use a special diet called the ketogenic diet. On a ketogenic diet, you consume high amounts of fat, moderate protein, and low carbs. The ketogenic diet forces the body to burn fat for an energy consumption instead of burning glucose. This means that you can still eat protein without feeding the cancer cells. This is because the ketogenic diet puts the body into a state called ketosis. In ketosis, the body burns fat for fuel. Cancer cells cannot survive in a fatty environment. So if you put your body into ketosis, you make it more difficult for cancer cells to survive. Healthy mitochondria prevents cancer. Healthy mitochondria produces antioxidants that prevent cancer. Now let's take a look at what type of food you should eat to prevent cancer. 1. Health fats like avocados, avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil, MTC oil, and 100% grass-fed butter. 2. Protein like pastured raised eggs, 100% grass-fed meat, wild-caught fish, and not farm-raised fish, and organic poultry. You want to consume moderate amounts of protein, because too much protein gets converted into a sugar glucose in the body. 3. You want to eat lots of cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, red radish, cabbage, kale, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, and turnip, as well as other types of non-starchy veggies like spinach, zucchini, and other leafy green vegetables. For nuts like walnuts and almonds, and seeds like chia, flax, and pumpkin. 5. You should consume limited amounts of fruits, like berries and avocado. You want to limit and avoid at all cost fruits with a high glycemic index load, meaning you want to avoid fruits like bananas and mangoes and pineapple, etc. You want to stick with low glycemic index fruits. Here is a list of fruits with a low glycemic index. You can use this chart to determine which fruits are safe to consume. You want to avoid all forms of flour, white rice, potatoes, pasta, pizza, spaghetti, ketchup. Foods like these cause a rapid spike in your blood glucose. You want to avoid breads, cereals, crackers, seed oils, rice, pasta, etc. These are all highly processed industrial foods that causes cancer. Lastly, you need to reduce calorie intake. This is very important. The lower the calorie intake, the healthier your mitochondria will be. Keep in mind that calories are not created equal. 100 calories of broccoli is completely different than 100 calories of table sugar. Regardless, you must reduce the amount of calories that you consume each day to enhance mitochondria health and function. This is crucial. This is the key to preventing and treating cancer. You need to reduce and lower your sugar and glutamine intake each day to prevent the cancer cells from growing and proliferating. The best way to do this is to practice intermittent fasting, preferably 18 hours daily. During this time, you can only consume water. This allows your body a break from food and lowers the level of insulin in the body. Insulin is a hormone that prevents the body from burning fat. So by lowering insulin, you allow your body to burn more fat. Like I said earlier, cancer cells cannot survive in a fatty environment. Following the steps I've just outlined will not only get rid of cancer, but it will also get rid of diabetes and many other diseases in your body. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.